my friends, to a podcast that's been described as
emotional
and
terrifying.
One guy even said it was
So awesome it will shock you to the core.
finally another podcast about
Godzilla!
and all his giant monster friends.
This could be the end of civilization.
Yeah, probably. So join your hosts, KES and Slick.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You're listening to the podcast. From Odo Island. Welcome to the podcast from Odo Island. Follow us on Twitter at Odo Island Pod. I am Kes, and with me as always, he lost his medical license. He is just Mr. Pibb now. Slick, how you doing? Ties in.
It does, yeah. I'm doing swell. We're doing a Godzilla movie again. How exciting!
We're back to the old G-Zill.
Yep. It occurred to me that we overlooked doing the Raymond Burr version of the Return of Godzilla / Godzilla 1985.
And I can't remember if I watched that version for that episode or not, so I just watched both for this week.
Oh, I think you did watch the Japanese version.
Okay, I don't remember.
Yeah.
So I just watched both. I just wanted to cover all my bases. Plus, it gave me a better insight onto the differences, which were more than I would think.
There's a lot of differences. I don't have any news tidbits, do you?
I was going to say any news that you could fill me in on, but apparently not.
I don't think so. I think it's been a relatively... Well, I mean, we're going to have a lot of news, I think, by the next episode, because there's that big San Diego Comic-Con panel that's probably going to give us, hopefully some big news, or it's going to be like...
Do you remember the San Diego Comic-Con from 10 years ago where there was the Godzilla, like, not a ride, but there was like the...
Oh,
where like you walked in, you were in like this office building. And
and it's like it was like that was like everyone's like analyzing the blurry shots of Godzilla on the screen outside. You're like, what is the new Godzilla going to look like?
I was just like, this is the greatest fucking.
Because that was the year I'm pretty sure that was the year the trailer dropped. Because I think not the trailer, like the
teaser.
The San Diego teaser, which like the one that had like the speech from Oppenheimer at the beginning. I think that was like 2011. Yeah. So that was the same year.
2012?
It was around then. Yeah, I just remember it was like 2-3 years before the actual movie came out. Yeah,
I knew that. But
yeah,
I just remember the Godzilla walking by the office window and just being like, "All right, this is going to be awesome."
Yeah, I think all those were in the same year. And then here we are, 10 years later, and there's more of that Godzilla on the horizon.
Good. We're excited for it.
But yeah, so yeah, we're gonna have more news next week.
So stick around 2 weeks, you'll get more news from us. But this week, without further ado, we're talking about not Godzilla Returns, but Godzilla 1985.
Yep. So I will do a little table setting. I think this shouldn't be duplicative to our Return of Godzilla episode, because I think with that one, it was like I talked a lot about like the Cybot and stuff like that. This is going to be more about how we got to Godzilla 1985.
Okay.
So as we recall, the Showa series ended in 1975. There was no formal decision to end the series. Just, they just kicked around some ideas over the years. Nothing really came out of it. Godzilla just kind of ultimately faded away. Well, not so much faded away, but the idea of doing Godzilla movies just always existed, but nothing really took off. But Godzilla licensing in the 70s and 80s was quite profitable. That was like the Hanna-Barbera cartoon. Yep. That's like when we got the Tricephalon play set. And then in Japan, of course, like they had like Godzilla Land in the 80s. That was making Toho roughly $33 million a year in the 70s and the 80s.
What a good mousetrap. They didn't have to do anything.
Oh, they know how to merchandise, I'll tell you that. When it came to returning Godzilla to America, there was originally a plan by an individual named Steve Miner, who got the okay from Toho to try to pitch an American 3D Godzilla movie. That was going to be called Godzilla King of the Monsters 3D. Studios didn't go for it because it was really expensive for 1982. It was at a budget of $25 million.
Wow.
That's a lot in 1982.
That's a lot. Because you got to think back in those times, too. They had Jason 3D, or the third Jason movie, or Nightmare. Friday the 13th movie. That was in 3D, and that had a budget of like maybe $1 million.
Yeah, I mean
Maybe.
that's twice the budget of Shin Godzilla had. so eventually that idea kind of died. You can find storyboards for that pitch online. Godzilla was going to look more like a T-Rex. I don't know. I don't think it like all the reboots that were pitched. I don't think any of them were very good, and this one looked like it just would have been some kind of corny 80s dinosaur movie. But Toho was trying to distribute the Return of Godzilla in the United States after it had a somewhat successful run in Japan, or successful enough anyway. They wanted $5 million for the rights. Again, a super high cost at the time.
Nobody wanted it.
Ended up ultimately going to New World, who was like still kind of like who was still kind of like a startup company at the time. Yep. They had been around for a while, but they ended up getting the rights for $500,000.
Oh, good for them. I didn't realize they got it for that low.
They sure did. Meanwhile, at the same time, Toho had signed a marketing campaign with Dr. Pepper, which gave us the Dr. Pepper commercial.
I watched that.
Yeah. With
what a weird Godzilla suit that was.
Very weird. Very weird. Classic, though.
Yeah.
And so New World wanted to get as much advertisement as they could. They basically struck a deal with Dr. Pepper that they would feature Dr. Pepper prominently in the new scenes that they were going to film.
And it was featured prominently in the new scenes.
And in exchange, Dr. Pepper financed basically everything they shot in the movie.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought
they effectively financed the whole project for New World in exchange for the product placement.
They got their money's worth then, because it was everywhere you looked. It was Dr. Pepper.
Yes.
Dudes nervously drinking Dr. Pepper as they're blowing up a dick,
yeah, nothing says let me calm my nerves with a whole bunch of cinnamon flavored caffeine. So RJ Kaiser was the director that was picked for the new scenes that were shot. He was not involved in the writing or producing or anything like that. According to him, New World had 4 directives. Godzilla, so we're going to recut the movie quite a bit. The movie's recut extensively. So Godzilla has to appear earlier in the film. The story must be slanted to be pro-American and anti-Russia.
And it was.
Eliminate any bad effect shots and tighten the runtime.
They didn't eliminate all the bad effect shots.
They did eliminate a lot. They did actually eliminate the best shot from the Japanese movie. The one where Godzilla walks past the
they did eliminate
the skyscraper with the reflective shot.
Yes, which is my favorite shot too.
Yeah. I think that fell in the tighten the runtime, because even though they filmed 10 minutes of new footage, it is 16 minutes shorter than the Japanese cut.
And I noticed, because I watched both of these, especially in the beginning, they cut a lot of stuff. Like when they're on the boat, a lot of like the slow prodding stuff from the Japanese version. It's just like it's sped right up. And you're off the boat within the first 2 minutes of the movie.
Kaiser went on to say the first draft of the American scenes was like Dr. Strangelove. He said originally New World was hoping to get Leslie Nielsen to be in the movie, but once they hired Raymond Burr, the tone totally shifted. When Burr first met Mr. Kaiser, he literally opened his hotel door and said, "I just want you to know Godzilla is a symbol of the nuclear menace to mankind." And according to that, and then Burr was very serious about the film not becoming some tongue-in-cheek Dr. Strangelove movie. And Burr said in an interview, "They called me on the phone and said," this is a long quote, but I thought it was good. "They called me on the phone and said, we have another picture. We're going to cut it the same way we did the first one. And for the first one, I got paid a great deal of money for one day's work. For the second one, we also shot in one day, and I also got a great deal of money for that. But when they asked me to do it the second time, I said certainly, and everyone thought I was out of my mind. But it wasn't just for the large sum of money. It was the fact that, first of all, I kind of liked Godzilla, and where do you get the opportunity to play yourself 30 years later? I wasn't bad in this new Godzilla movie. I wasn't good. I was just nothing. And we didn't even call him Steve Martin. We just called him Mr. Martin because Steve Martin, the comedian, had come up in between movies." But Burr also wrote the final speech that ends the movie. And yeah, he just kind of made sure it was not going to be some tongue-in-cheek film. Yeah,
and to say he wasn't bad, he wasn't good, I thought he was good.
Yeah, I think it's just he has no real impact on the plot. I think it's kind of what he's getting at. Neither does most anybody in the movie, in the new American scenes. Movie broke even in theaters, but made a bunch of money for New World on VHS. It made $2 million. which ended up being a third of their profits and made them profitable for the first time, and effectively kept them alive. Famously, on most VHS tapes, this comes with Bambi Meets Godzilla, the animated short from 1969, attached to the beginning. Which, if you've never seen it, it's kind of a gag you can easily find anywhere. It's like a minute long. It's just as Bambi Meets Godzilla. It's like a black and white title card, and then it's like a cartoon of like Bambi just standing in a field, like eating grass, and then just suddenly Godzilla's foot just comes down and squashes Bambi, and that's the end of the short.
All right.
As a little, so when I rented this at Blockbuster back in the day, it always had the Bambi Meets Godzilla short. I actually watched the VHS copy that I have for this episode, and unfortunately my version does not have that.
I also watched a VHS version of this, but it wasn't on VHS. It was just a rip of a VHS.
So so that's kind of that. I mean, that is the gist of how we got here. And then I think a lot of this is kind of like, do we like the changes? Do we not like the changes? Do we like the additional scenes? Not like the additional scenes?
I could tell that they were trying to have like a goofier tone, because like the redheaded dude who's always interacting with Mr. Martin, like Mr. Martin puts him in his place, kind of.
He like scoffs at everything.
He's like, so this is normal after a nuclear fallout. And then he's like, in 1962, we watched this happen, and it blew out power emissions from Honolulu to Japan.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna go drink my Dr. Pepper now. Or the one where he's like, when Godzilla's attacking Tokyo, and he's like, that's quite the urban renewal program they got over there. And then it cuts to Raymond Burr, and he's like, oh. So yeah, that was he's the holdover. I feel like from the tongue-in-cheek stuff.
He's blowing up a Russian sub. We should put him in uniform.
Oh yeah, I say we sign him up. Yes, we have to talk about I guess we can just do it now. The Russian missile scene,
because it's so hilarious. Because they didn't even make the Russians like evil like you'd expect. They just made them sound incompetent.
Yes, yeah. So
and like I love how like the American leader guy's just like, he's got his hair pushed back, not slicked back, pushed back. And he's just like a calm, cool, collected guy. And then the Russian guy's this angry guy with a scraggly beard. His hair is everywhere.
Right.
It was so funny.
So what they cut. All right. So for context, in the original Japanese version, there's actually a quick scene where it's like the American diplomat and the Russian diplomat agree. That's all cut.
Yes.
But so, all right. So for context, for those of you listening, if you have not seen the Japanese version, when Godzilla makes landfall, he like almost kind of capsizes the Russian boat, which causes the nuclear missile to arm.
Right.
And the Russian soldier on the boat is like, he's been like wounded, and he's like dying, and he is scrambling to try to stop the missile. Yeah. What happens in the American version?
He's just on the ground. He's just on the ground, and they're just incompetent.
And what does he say on his way to the missile?
Oh, I forget.
I'm the only one who can launch the missile. So he's not trying to stop it. He's trying to launch it in this version.
Yeah.
And but like what's funny is like the subtitles say I'm the only one who can launch it, but they didn't change the Russian dialogue. Like, so if you were someone who could speak Russian watching this, you would hear him say, I have to stop the missile. But the subtitles say, I'm the only one who can launch the missile. It has to be done. And then it's like re-edited to show him like hitting the launch button. I don't think, I forget what order that kind of goes in the Japanese version, but him hitting the button is like not like has anything to do with the launching of the missile. So yeah, they re-edited it to have him like launch the missile, and then they show him dead in the ground, like a scene later, like 10 feet away from the console he was just supposedly hitting the button on.
Yeah.
So, yes.
So, like, that happens, and then they're like, oh, the Americans are watching it. They'll save us.
Oh, okay. And I have a quote on that, too. So the producer was Anthony Randall, and he said about the editing of the Russians firing the missile. He said, that was a complete joke I did. Haha. I did it. I remember looking over the film trying to figure out how we were going to integrate the scenes, and I had a really funny idea. Let's make it so the Russians start the whole thing. I'll take 100% blame for that. And to this day, I get the biggest laugh about it. Because it was the Reagan era, and because I made it look like the Russians started the whole thing, it was such the 1980s joke.
This is how everyone talked in the 80s. This is how Reagan talked. Fuck.
So
people are just so fucking weird, man.
So that was that.
Certainly was.
Oh, any scenes that because in the Japanese version there's an American nuclear satellite shown at some points. That's all cut because they didn't want America to look like that they were also nuclear aggressors like Russia. So
yeah.
Also, the soundtrack was completely changed from the Japanese version.
Yep.
Although I actually didn't mind the soundtrack. I thought it was kind of good.
There was one piece I noticed that I was like, "Oh, this sounds like Pomp and Circumstance." It was
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
the diplomats are all showing up.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
I was like, "Ooh, yeah."
But it does move faster.
It moves faster at the beginning, and then it's sort of like once like Godzilla shows up in mainland Japan, that's when sort of like you get more of the scenes in like the military hub with Mr. Martin.
Yeah,
all that stuff. You get a lot more of that at that point. So at that point, it kind of slows down, but it's not a bad pace. I wouldn't say.
No. I mean, for context, I don't really like the Japanese version. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I think it's kind of slow, boring entry.
Yeah, you get more of like the scientist dude and the guy who finds the guy in the boat and his sister.
Yeah,
you get a lot more of that.
Yeah, I also don't think this one's much better or better. I'm not going to say if I think it's better or worse because that's what the ranking's for.
Yeah.
But I do little things I like. I don't know. I liked everything Raymond Burr did.
Yes,
I liked
100%. Conrad, 100%.
I liked that they actually had clips from the original Godzilla movie playing on the screen at one point when he first gets to the Pentagon.
Yeah.
Although he does kind of create a massive continuity error in this version of the film where he says, for the record, they never found a corpse when Godzilla first appeared, which in this they say 1956 instead of 1954. Which kind of creates
Did they have the skulls though?
The skull gets disintegrated at the end of 54. So yes, you would not find a body. But I guess you could explain it away and say Raymond Burr or Steve Martin doesn't know that because he wasn't underwater. But he, when they say like, this movie makes it sound like it's the same Godzilla that appeared I almost said 50 years ago, 30 years ago. But in the Japanese version, it's clear that this is a new Godzilla, which is later, or it's a little ambiguous, but by the time we get to King Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, it's a different Godzilla.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It's
time
travel and everything.
Let's see. The last thing I have for significant changes that we can kind of pick apart this movie a little bit more. It was good. I think it was a good change. That like horrifying scream that Godzilla has when he falls into the volcano, that was added for the American version. He just kind of roars in the Japanese one. This one's like a high pitched scream, which I think Toho actually recorded for a Laserdisc release or some shit like that. But ended up just getting used in the American version. Okay, that was enough for like the changes and stuff like that. Your additional thoughts?
The Raymond Burr stuff was really good. I thought he added a tone of seriousness that otherwise this movie would have been seriously lacking. Like they had the older scientist whose family was killed by Godzilla, and he was like, "Don't you want to see him dead?" He's like, "At first, no, not so much anymore."
Yeah.
So like I was like, "Oh, that's like a great character arc." Like you could explain it in a sentence, and like this guy's like more about the science than he is about revenge. Like he has like more personality in that one sentence than a lot of other characters do in the entire movies. Yeah. So you had him, and other than that, it was just sort of like I didn't really like any of the characters that much. Like, didn't care for the story all that much. Like, there's the vagrant guy who's eating the meals. Some of his scenes got cut. So he's just like, "Hey, I'll see you around," and then he just like gets squashed by Godzilla. It's like he could totally escape, and he just doesn't. He's like, "I guess I'll die."
I peaked.
There was he shows up at like the nuclear facility at first to get himself a snack.
Yep.
I don't know if anything was cut from that, but it seemed a lot shorter.
Yeah, I don't really remember either. I think a lot of the Godzilla edits happen when he attacks Tokyo.
Okay.
But that's like totally reshuffled around.
Yeah. I did want to mention that the Super X from the front looks like the Men at Work Whippet hats.
It's good. It's good.
Not from the
Okay.
side. From the side, it looks like a spaceship, but from the front, it kind of looks like one of those weird hats.
Yeah. That's still all strong chunk of the movie. Godzilla versus the Super X.
Yeah, he drops a building on them.
That's still like, all right. Even though I don't like love this movie all that much, like that part is incredible.
Because I like all the close-ups that they get with Godzilla, and he's like kind of snarling and like he looks like real evil.
Yeah.
I think that's a good touch. Like a lot of people say, like, "Oh, Godzilla can't show emotions." I'm like, yes, he can, he can do whatever he fucking wants. He's a fictional character. Yes, he can show emotion.
Yeah.
Who cares?
He can smile.
Yeah.
He can smile all he wants in GVK.
Yeah, he can smile. He can snarl. Like
He can dance on Planet X.
yeah, he can do a 20-mile drop kick. Like, just have fun with it a little bit, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah.
I think those were good. I do like the design, even though I think it's like probably like the worst Heisei design.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Agreed.
Like I still kind of like it though. I don't really like the NECA figures of it though. It's weird.
Yeah, the only one I like is the
video game
Nintendo one. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not he looks like he's like half asleep the whole time.
Like after watching this though, like I just gotta say I was really thirsty for a drink with like at least 23
For some
flavors.
cinnamon.
At least 23 flavors required.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. It's just the doctor like they're framing shots so that like a Dr. Pepper machine can be like in the middle of the background.
middle, yes.
And so bright.
But like if they're funding the whole movie, then you know you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah,
I don't blame
it's funny. It's just like when I like read that they funded the whole production, I like literally laughed out loud because I was like, that makes so much sense.
They probably got their money's worth too, because all that advertising probably hit home with a lot of people, and a lot of people.
Yeah, well, I guess
Dr. Pepper
I guess
as
the
a
Dr.
result.
Pepper ad campaign itself was like an over $10 million campaign.
That's crazy.
Yeah, especially for like, you know, the mid 1980s.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's an aggressive campaign. But it's weird, like this movie didn't do super well, because like, you know, around the time it was like older Godzilla movies like being shown at like film festivals or you know getting released on VHS, and it's like, and again the merchandising and all that, like because like Godzilla was like a, you know, profitable, popular. I guess like the film festival appearances like all did really really well. So, you know, it's just I mean in Japan obviously things went better, but yeah, just this movie just didn't click in America.
I think maybe too is just like the whole foreign film aspect, where it might appear to like a few people, but probably not en masse. They're
Yeah.
probably like, yeah, whatever. I'll go see, you know, Terminator, or is Running Man out at this point? I forget what year Running Man was.
Yeah, I think, you know, banking. Yeah, it was probably a hard sell to like the general American audience, like to be like a big budget '80s movie. Like it almost like feels like it probably should have been like, you know, smaller scale to a degree. But I mean, yeah, I mean it is what it is. But yeah, but some of the other things that just kind of piggyback off what you said, like, yeah, again, like there's some like really cool shots of Godzilla towards the end of this film, like. Yeah, after he drops like I love like after he drops the building on Super X, and then it like kind of cuts to him like just kind of standing there, and he like roars, and there's like kind of like red highlights going on. I was like, fuck, that shot's awesome.
Yep.
You know, or like when he blasts through the building, his radioactive breath through the building to get to Super X. I was like, that's badass.
Yep.
That's great.
Yep.
Just man on a mission on that. I was like, that's cool.
Because like he's not really like as destructive as he was in the original movie,
Yeah, that's a good point.
but like what he does do, it seems like more impactful to like as a fight with the Super X, rather than like in the first movie he's just like kind of trampling on stuff and then he leaves.
Yeah.
So like he probably, it's like almost like the Super X is like another monster that he's fighting, I
Right,
guess.
yeah.
Whereas like in the original he doesn't have another monster to fight. So but like he seems to be more, I don't want to say like inclined to attack people, but like when he sees people he just like charges at them and tries to squash them.
Yeah, it seems like he's being provoked and he's like responding.
I don't know
Yeah.
if it was provoked. I just think they just seem to like make him like more evil in this movie, where he's like targeting people
Yeah.
pretty much. You know, he targets the guy at the nuclear station, squashes him when he's like just sees Godzilla and he yells Godzilla.
Yeah. Yeah.
He targets the vagrant guy. He's targeting the shipwreck guy and his sister when they're trying to escape.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It just seems like he's more of like a stalker in that sense rather than like sort of like oblivious to man, and he's destroying things because he doesn't even care.
Yeah, they keep laying in heavy into, especially in the 90s, they keep laying into the heavy, he's a force of nature. But I was like, really? I was like, because he seemed like he knew what he was doing when he blasted that guy in Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, like,
yeah,
in the tower. I was like, I think, yes, he's a force of nature, but I also think he's a little petty. So,
yeah, I wouldn't call this petty. I would call this more like just like pure evil type of situation. You know?
I mean, he seems legitimately very pissed off, like when he goes after the Super Axe after he gets woken back up.
Yeah.
I will say I probably said this when we did Return of the Godzilla. I will reiterate it now. I hate the fucking look of the animatronic Godzilla that they used in close-ups.
Yeah.
Where it's got like the weird arms and stuff like that. I hate it.
Which is better, the animatronic Kong or the animatronic Godzilla?
The Godzilla's going to win because it worked.
Yeah.
But
agreed, but neither are great.
No, that is an 80s trend that needed to just not be a thing.
But the suit, the Godzilla suit, like anything they shot with, like close-ups with that, with those animatronics, those were fine.
Oh yeah, definitely. This will start the trend of some really good Godzilla suits in the 90s.
Yeah, like the next two movies, like I think those are like probably one of, if not my favorite Godzilla suits.
Yeah, I think the version that's used in King Ghidorah.
Yeah.
I think that's probably tied for like one or two. That's probably. I mean, it's definitely top 2 or 3 for me. So, I love my Godzilla 68. I Destroy All Monsters style Godzilla. I love that one.
Yeah, that's sort of
it's
like
it's my superhero Godzilla.
It's sort of the quintessential Showa era Godzilla. I feel like that one's looked at more fondly than the original or any other Godzilla suits of those times.
I like the 64 one, the one in Mothra.
Big old eyebrows. Yep.
Yeah. This one, he's kind of got the big brows in this one too. What Godzilla looks like in this movie, only you will really get this reference, but he looks like specifically my cat Gianni when he is like kind of waking up, but he's like still kind of sleepy, and his eyes are just like his eyelids are like just kind of half open. And he has the same look, the emotionless killer look, and also Gianni murdered a mouse the other night, so the killer look is fresh in my head.
It's so funny you call him killer because every time I see him, he's just like the sweetest little baby.
Yeah, well, because he's gotten his fill of death for the week, and he's at peace with himself because he only feels alive when he's taking lives. So, he looks like Godzilla does in this movie, where he's like kind of looks like a little bored. I don't know.
Yeah, he kind of has like a little bit of like the Ghoulies, the one who peeks out of the toilet, like not Shogun, like that far, but like a little bit of that vibe.
Yeah, but it's grown on me. I used to not like the suit, and then it kind of grew on me over the years.
Yeah, that's fair.
Anything else to add about this flick?
Not really. Like we've already covered it. Like I wish they kept the that good scene in with like the mirror building.
Yeah.
One of the buildings in the set, I don't know if we covered it last time, but it was just absolutely enormous.
Yeah, I like that all the buildings are huge in this movie. I always thought it was cool when Godzilla's like standing amongst all those like buildings that like dwarf him.
Yeah.
That's cool. But you brought up a good point. Like he doesn't do like a lot of city destruction in this movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like he raids Tokyo like he does in the first movie.
Right.
I guess I never like really thought of that. He does a lot more city destruction in every other movie basically that comes after this.
Like there's still a good amount of it, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But like it just seems like it was scaled back. Maybe I don't know if it was just because like the set was so good, because it was a good set.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, like pretty much anytime there was like lasers on the screens, like
from the masers?
Yeah, it didn't look great. But like other than that, like the Super X fight's good. Nice catch.
I've spilled White Claw on my phone twice in the past 10 seconds for those listening.
Yep.
To what that nice catch was, then I nearly dropped my phone, caught it with my thunder thighs.
Yep, you sure did.
Not that one. Just Drop my work phone though.
This is enjoyable.
It's all right. My work phone. It's great podcasting. The work phone will survive.
But yeah, like other than that, like obviously the beef of this movie is the city scene. They shoot down the nuke like just in time, and like they saw like
everyone goes to the window to enjoy the nuclear cloud that is engulfing them.
Right. It's kind of like Fallout, dude. No, like,
no,
that's not what you should be doing.
Oh, what a pretty scene. Yeah, that's probably gonna come back to bother us in a couple of years.
Yeah. But you know, it's a movie. There's no consequences here. I like the only thing I really like about the Japanese one more than this one is like how like they sort of got the politics better.
Oh yeah,
where like it was more honest at least. Whereas the U.S. version is just like, haha, we're superheroes, American.
Yeah,
the Russians are just dastardly evil, like cunning bastards.
The Japanese one like had all these scenes too, where like the prime minister is like talking about like behind the scenes. He's like, do we allow nuclear weapons to be used in Japan again? There's like, it's like you get more of the prime minister like grappling with like the situation that he's in. And then this is just totally cut out. And actually it was like, I was like reading some like the old reviews that kind of came out in America, and like a lot of the critics actually picked up on going like, yeah, this is like, you know, a recut movie. And like a lot of critics like pointed out that like, you know, Japan's role in this version of the film is that they are just like the child caught between the two superpowers, the way this film is portrayed. Yeah. And it's like, you know, basically any agency Japan has been lost in this version of the movie. Yeah. And, you know, it's just, you know, Cold War, you know, not propaganda, I guess kind of propaganda, but like, you know, just like an era of the Cold War with like Japan's role just kind of
it's just such a weird angle to take. Like I get it was different in those times, but it's just such a weird angle to take where like everything America is good and we're pure and everything Russia is bad and they're evil. Yeah. And there was just like, it's not true.
Well, I would say Russia is always kind of dabbled in the evil side. But
I have some
but again to like put it through like the lens that like America is just like without fault is the wrong.
That's what I was getting at. Yeah. Yes. It's just like it was like I don't know if you watched The Boys, but it's very Vought-esque where it's just like they're putting their spin on it and they're changing the narrative to what they want it to be.
They're choosing their narrative, I believe you meant to say.
Creating their narrative.
Oh yeah, create your narrative.
Oh, it's control your
narrative. Control your narrative. There you go. We got there. They're controlling their narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm just not into like that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's
unless it's The Boys where they use it for like effect,
right?
In which case it works.
As the producer said, it was the Reagan era. So
yep.
Raymond Burr scenes lift all boats. Actually, I guess that actually literally applies to this movie. All Raymond Burr scenes elevate all the other crap around him.
Yep. That's true.
By crap, I mean specifically the American scenes. I guess as we get into the ranking of this, that I think is where I'm going to go heavy into my comparisons of the Japanese movie. I think in my thoughts,
but speaking of rankings, do you want to get there? I don't know how much more.
No, yeah.
I picked up in your segue then.
Oh yeah.
So 1 to 5, 1's a jobber, 5's a main eventer, various degrees of mid card in between. I think you went first last time, so my turn to go first.
Sure.
Really, you know, this is sort of my least favorite Heisei era movie. Like even the Japanese version, American version doesn't do that much better. In fact, some things it does worse. I'm gonna go solid 2 here. Raymond Burr was good. I like when Godzilla drops the building on the Super X. Good stuff was cut out. Some unnecessary stuff was cut out too. Better pacing in the U.S. version.
Yeah,
but overall, whatever. 2.
Yeah, I don't remember what I gave the Japanese version. I feel like it was either a 2 or a 3 because I don't. Again, I think yes, this is my least favorite movie, the Heisei era, but it's also like just in general like one of my least favorite Godzilla movies.
Yeah.
I don't dislike it. I just find it all kind of boring.
Same.
You know, but I'm pretty sure I gave the Japanese version a 2 or a 3. I don't know if I think I might have gave it a 3, but this would get a 2 either way because like the pace is a lot better. Like actually, if they kind of kept the pace but didn't add the American scenes, but just kind of tightened up the original cut,
or even just like change the American scenes around just a little bit to be less like White Knight of the world.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like why I don't like Godzilla 98. Like it all comes like from a bad place. You know, it's like the best thing about this movie is that Raymond Burr came in and saved it from turning into Doctor Strangelove Part 2, although Doctor Strangelove is a great movie, but this movie should not be Doctor Strangelove.
Yeah.
But you still get the holdover with like that redheaded guy, like still kind of doing like the dickhead jokes.
Yeah, it's fine to have a doofus in your movie. Like I'm not gonna chastise him for that, but like
But it's as we went through the background, it's like they were dying to make it like a tongue-in-cheek, let's make fun of this movie, and then like some forces against their control kind of worked against them.
Yeah, so Raymond Burr definitely saved me for that. Oh, my lemonade tin fell. Oh well, it's empty.
But also removing the, even though it kind of went on for a little bit too long in the Japanese version, still removing the actual like anti-nuclear message that like the prime minister goes through, and like then diminishing the story arcs of all the Japanese characters. Like it's like you cut out too much of the wrong stuff.
Yeah,
and like there's plenty of other ways to I think get Godzilla 85 or whatever the original Japanese version, I think, down to a more comfortable runtime, and it was not the stuff that they cut out. You know, like you could have tightened up a lot of the scenes and saved time, and but instead they said, we're gonna cut out the character stuff, but we're gonna have more of this dude making urban renewal jokes, chugging Dr. Pepper. So, let's get more of that in there, and then of course just the ridiculous recutting of the Russian missile launch scene. Just
yeah.
Yep, Raymond Burr saves it, I think, from being a 1.
Yeah.
But so it's a 2.
Raymond Burr and Dr. Pepper to save the day.
Yeah, but generally, overall, this is always on kind of like the lower tier of Godzilla movies for me. I'm actually trying to think really quick. I was like, what movies do I put below this besides Megaguirus and Godzilla's Revenge and Godzilla 98?
Son of Godzilla.
Yeah, I like Son of Godzilla's. It's a fine little romp.
Yeah. It's not as bad as I thought it would be, but
yeah.
I think I probably prefer this one.
I don't know. Son of Godzilla's with that doon-doonch, 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 the Kamakuras.
Yep.
You're like, come on, that wins. Oh, that was it. Thank you. Yes.
I know what we're putting at the end of this episode.
Let's get that. Let's get Mignola getting hit in the head with a rock.
Yep.
That's fun.
But like overall, I'm just saying as a movie, maybe you're right. Maybe.
Son of Godzilla's more fun. This is just it goes. It just kind of goes. I will say one thing they did really well at the very beginning of the movie, when Godzilla busts out all like the rock at the beginning when they see the ship. I like that this version cuts to like Raymond Burr, like a close up like Raymond Burr, like kind of like, I don't know, like watching a thunderstorm or whatever, like outside. I was like, that was cool. So that was like the one addition that I thought was done well.
Well, yeah. So a couple of 2s for this one. Watch it if you've never seen it before, but I don't think this is one you'll be coming back to. I
don't recommend either version. Skip to Biollante. Start there.
Yeah, like Biollante is a movie you'll watch over and over again.
Yes.
Whereas this one, you'll watch it once and that'll be your experience. Watch both cuts though, like I did.
Yeah.
I got figs, but did you?
Nope.
Oh,
After
wow.
I got 21 items last week or last episode, everything else is sitting in the mail.
I think this might be the first episode where you don't have a purchase.
Might be.
Not the first, but definitely like the second. You've been carrying the purchase segment for.
Do we count my monthly renewal of the Godzilla Pass and Godzilla Battle Line as a purchase? If so, I got that.
Well, there you go. You got something. you got other stuff waiting in the mail, but I got the round 1 of the Mezco Destroy All Monsters set, and a day or two after we recorded the last episode, sitting in your basement watching some wrestling, having a few claws, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna spend $120-ish on figures right now.
Yeah, not all that was on the Mezcos.
No.
You got some wrestling figures in there as well.
And I got even more since then. But I did get the round 1 set, and first thing I noticed is that my Anguirus was pretty decent.
Yeah.
Like,
So if you recall, when I got my set, I was very upset at the paint application on some of the figures, but Anguirus was the one that suffered the most, probably followed by Rodan. Rodan had a lot of like sloppy paint on his chest, as well. So
I'm displaying my Rodan flying.
Oh, okay. So that's not really an issue for you, I was.
Yeah.
But Anguirus was definitely. To recap, mine, the open mouth head had very bent horns, and his nose horn was like barely painted. His back spikes had very inconsistent paint application. Comes with another head, the closed mouth, which was not the one they wanted to display him with. They wanted to display with the open mouth, but that was just not possible. But my closed head Anguirus was fine overall. I mean, it was still like a little scuffy on the paint application, but. So that was a little bit of a bummer, and not really consistent with what I expected from Mezco. But your experience has been different.
Yeah, mine it's not great, obviously.
Yeah.
There's still like errors, but like overall, like it wasn't bad, and I can display mine with the open mouth Anguirus. This is my first actual like accurate Anguirus figure. I have like the Trendmasters figures, but this is the first one where I got like Anguirus that's been in like a movie.
Yes. Yeah.
And overall, very good quality. Like the texture on it, like it's all around. There's no like smoothed out areas like how Playmates figures are. Like there's like some paint that's like clearly like they dabbled in and it's kind of globbed up on the end. Like I don't know if you can see it on the end of my shell there, but there's like black plate that's kind of like globbed up.
Oh yeah.
And like some of the horns, obviously, there's like.
So I brought mine over as well, so we can compare these things.
So like some of the horns aren't painted all the way through. Some of them are a little faded. Some of
Oh
them
yeah, look at that! I don't have the shell glob on mine. Maybe I do on the other side, but the side I just looked at didn't have it.
Yeah, so yours does not have that. Mine has some glob going on, and the globbing does, unfortunately, go to some of the spikes at the end there too.
Yeah.
But like that's the only real issue I have, and like the way I'm displaying it, you don't really ever see it, so it's not an issue for me.
Yeah.
The other figures, though, I think the Godzilla is awesome. The Rodan's got the flying stand on it, and the
Mothra's huge.
Mothra is much bigger than I thought, and comes with a very large like web extension that I've displayed, which is probably like a third of the size of the figure attached to it.
God, you could probably repurpose that to make like a good like accessory for like an appropriately sized Spider-Man figure.
But like overall, like this set was like really good. Glad that someone's making like accurate Godzilla figures for affordable prices. Obviously, there's the Super 7 line, which are, you know, it's a little bit more cartoony. Like the Jet Jaguar and the Godzilla are accurate. But like the Godzilla figures, they look a little bit more cartoony. They don't have as much detail going on. Whereas these, they're just very highly detailed, I would say.
Yeah.
So
we are living in a renaissance. Even like the Bandai figures that are coming out are like top notch right now. So yeah. Again, I'm a little bummed about the paint application on just this wave of Mezco figures. I didn't have the issues with the paint on the first wave, which was really the second wave.
with round 2.
Yeah, the first wave, which was round 2. I didn't have issues with the paint. This one, it's I wish it was a little tightened up.
Yeah.
But again, this is out of character for Mezco at this point. So I'm kind of hoping for the best with the next 2.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have any others pre-ordered? Like the Hedorah set or the Mothra set?
I've been considering the Mothra set because I really like the packaging with the Shopijin.
Yeah, and they come in little case
cart,
or whatever
yeah.
they get carried around in movies.
Yeah. So like I've been considering that one. Like I probably won't get on it for another couple weeks though.
Maybe wait till I get them to see what the quality is.
Oh,
Because it doesn't seem like they're hard to get once like they
Yeah,
come out. So
that's what I mean. Like I've been getting them on eBay,
yeah,
and so like I, if anything, I'd probably save a few bucks on shipping.
yeah. I will say, one thing we didn't talk about is Super 7. They are now making an ultimate version of the Shogun Godzilla
Yes,
because we will just never, ever stop reissuing that figure, remolding that figure. Just never. Never.
One thing I wanted to add to that note is that like I saw your post about it, and I know your feelings on it, and like I always thought like you were proud of that figure, and like
I'm proud of I mean, yes, I have the original.
yeah,
It's rare, or was rare, is rare, but I never liked it. Like, I never
See, I
liked the
thought you
design of
did.
it.
So like when I saw the Super 7 originally were coming out with the reaction figures, like, oh, I'll keep an eye out for you, and you're like, don't bother. I was like,
No,
I had no idea.
That's nope. I've always kind of hated that design.
Yeah.
It's like funny because Godzilla doesn't have hair, but somehow he looks bald with that mold.
He has a rounded, balded head.
Yeah, and it's just but again, I mean, like, I wanted to have an original one because like it's a rare item. Mine's complete. I don't have the box, but I mean, mine's complete. It's mint. Although I recently learned it's not the first edition of the figure; it's actually the second edition of the figure. There's which now makes me go, do I have to track down an even rarer version? Which I won't.
Nope.
I actually don't think a lot of people know there's different editions of the original figure. But no, and it's like there was like a company that made redid that figure, but they did it like in the style of like Godzilla 64. And I was like, really? This is what we're doing? This is what we're doing? Super 7, remake the Imperial Godzilla. The one that's the one with like the red blood lips going on.
I was almost excited, and then I was just like, I'm not paying $80.
No, don't make an ultimate one. Make a smaller scale one like they did.
I'm not paying $18.
I will. I'll eat that right up.
I'll
eat that right up. I will say, I think the reaction wave might be the reaction set. I might say those right now might be my figures of the year.
I'm going with the Mezcos, personally.
Mezco's at number 2.
Okay.
I think if the paint wasn't so screwed up on the first round, which came second, then I'd say, yeah, these are definitely figures of the year. But once I got the reaction figures and I got them out and I had them in my hands, I was like, oh no, these might be figures of the year right now.
Like I like them, but I don't know. They're too small to warrant that price point. And they're just not like articulated, you know what I mean? Like they're more like
the retro style,
yeah,
the retro gimmicks.
So I don't know, like.
But once I recreated the cover to Godzilla vs. Berkeley with a Super 7 Jason Tatum and a Super 7 Godzilla 54, and I said, oh no,
I understand.
These are where we're at now because this is the funniest thing to me.
I'm not fighting you on it. I if anything, I would go if not the Mezcos, then the Salonga.
Actually, I was gonna say that is also in the running right now for figure of the year. But we got a lot of months left.
I don't know. I give a lot of credit to Mezco for the King Ghidorah that they put out. Like finally, like I have like a good King Ghidorah figure that doesn't take up too much room. It's not awkward to display.
And it's Showa era.
It's Showa
which is
era.
nice. You don't get a lot of Showa era with the main. You don't get that.
It comes with beams. Those go a long way with me.
Yep.
The whole rest of the set, like even like the Minula figure, like I don't know. I feel like these are pretty close. Like I want to see the Super 7 Ultimates in person. I don't know if I'd get them.
I don't like the pictures of the Super 7 Ultimates, so I'm not interested.
That's what I mean. I want to see them in person. Like I don't think I'd get them, but
I'm going to be curious to see what happens when those Haya Toys ones that come out. I think like initially we thought they were going to be like they're doing Godzilla and Kong. We thought they originally were going to be like $30, but looks like they're more settling at like $50.
Okay.
But it looks like they're somewhere in between NECA quality and SH Monster Rats quality. Like, remember like we talked about that like a couple months back?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So like it's supposed to have like, I don't know, a bajillion points of articulation on the Godzilla. Like, we'll see. I have not. Oh my God. Dropped my phone. I have not pre-ordered that. Just because I feel like I've been burned in the past.
Gotcha.
By such things. I love a lot of the legendary Godzilla figures I already have. So I'm like, is this like just going to be like an SH monster? I don't know. I want to see it come out first and see what we got. So,
Gotcha.
you know,
So still a lot of, we got over 5 months left.
we have a Playmates King Ghidorah figure that could come out soon, anytime now.
I don't think we're going to be calling that one figure of the year.
Imagine if a Playmates figure becomes figure of the year.
The Gorosaurus one was good. It's not like they put out bad figures recently.
No,
Just like the first couple were pretty bad, but like overall they've been much better. But like I don't know if they'd supersede anything Mezco has done or
no,
the
no.
Bandai Salonga or anything like that. I don't know. Like I said, if not the Mezcos, then the Salonga for me. Like I've seen the Super 7s. They're cool. Probably not just not for me. Like I got the Power Rangers Super 7 figures and that's good enough. Like I could stop there.
Sure, yeah. I think you gotta get at least one so you can have one that's like in scale with your Power Rangers figures. Because those are all from the reaction line as well. So
Yeah, but those are bigger. Those are like 5 inches,
That's
4.5,
true.
5 inches, where the
yeah,
Godzilla
they-
ones are a little smaller.
they do look taller.
Like if anything, like the Mezco ones are probably in scale.
Well, I'm just glad Super 7 keeps calling him Wave 1 because they go, yes, Wave 2 must be coming anytime now. Imperial Godzilla better be in that lineup.
Yeah, like they did some good ideas with that lineup with the
The Volcano Monsters Godzilla. That was
well, there's that, like the Jet Jaguar figure, like the Mech Godzilla figure. Like they made good choices, I'll say that.
Yep. I was happy with it.
Yeah.
I want more now.
I know that feeling. But yeah, so we don't have a topic for our next episode.
Sounds like a poll week, unless you got something.
I don't know.
We really plan ahead in this pod.
We really don't plan ahead. We're week to week. We're booking by the seat of our pants. So we'll put up a poll, see what you want. Maybe a drinking game. That idea trickled into our heads from our buddy Matt.
Oh, the Final Wars drinking game? I have to record that on a Saturday. I will say the next episode that if I can record it on a Saturday, we will do the Final Wars drinking game.
All
if
right.
that could be the next episode.
So maybe we'll do a poll. Maybe we'll just unload the drinking game on you,
Yeah.
so you can listen to us get hammered.
We got to get some rules of the. Although I feel like with Final Wars, it probably wouldn't be too hard to come up with rules.
Yep. Drink every time there's a pimp on screen.
That should be a waterfall because he's not around long.
There you go.
The entire New York scene should be a waterfall.
The entire Zilla fight is a waterfall.
And then
Drink whenever there's a Sum 41 song.
yes, so
playing.
chase it with the shot whenever there's a Sum 41 song. Yeah, that'll work. We'll figure that out.
We'll mull it over. If that doesn't happen on the next episode, it'll be soon.
There'll be a poll.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'll just put up a poll that's like, what do you want us to do next? Godzilla Final Wars drinking game? Or,
We could just redo every movie we've watched and then be like
To a
drinking
drinking
game
game?
episode. So
I mean, the Hidra one is just so classic. It's just
it'll never not be fun doing that.
oh my god, because that's like also like one of the best Godzilla movies ever. So
I enjoyed it.
It's so
much
insane.
more than I thought I would.
it's so insane.
It's no GVK though.
Well,
Whenever someone mentions like Shin Godzilla or like any movie that has an actual like something to say, and I'm just like, yep, I like GVK.
yeah, there's a lot of people that comment about these movies and they go, I'm gonna guess like a lot of y'all weren't around when like Space Godzilla came out, like, and like the reaction, like, I don't know, it's people should be so thrilled with whether it's the anime trilogy, Shin Godzilla, GVK, anything in the MonsterVerse.
So
Like, I feel like it's a lot of not, like what you like, dislike what you dislike, but there's like having Twitter and social media just allows people to be so critical of so many things.
speaking on that, Shin Godzilla was trending this week.
Oh, I saw, but
And
that was
people were complaining about the CGI.
so I was gonna say I didn't like that trend because it was like it was like a lot of like dogpiling on like one dude, I think. And so I was like, oh, I don't really like that. Like the guy had a bad take, but I mean we shouldn't like beat the dude up. on
Yeah, you
social
just
media.
give him
It's-
a mushroom for his shiitake.
You should have just that's like a thing about social media. I don't like somebody has a bad take and we just go, we're gonna pile on, and now us piling on you is trending, and you're gonna get piled on more. I don't like that. But
All I said was, "Oh, Shin Godzilla is trending." I'm sure everyone's just talking about what a
I
great
did see
movie it
that.
is.
I did see that. But it's like I think everything we have gotten, it's totally fine to be critical and and whatnot. But I think everything we have gotten in the past 10 years, there was something to appreciate, something to be good, or at least there's like artistic merits to it.
Yeah,
It's like,
oh, yeah.
it's like, what if like Twitter existed again when Space Godzilla came out and that fucking asteroid fight scene it was going on? Or like, what if like Twitter existed when like
they would be tagging Joel and Mike Nelson and
oh my god!
Bill
Oh
Corbett.
yeah, that's what it'd be. It'd be like snitch tagging riff tracks.
That's
That's
what I'm
exactly what
talking
it
about,
would be. Like it'd be like like if Twitter existed when like any Godzilla movie, like starting with the Sherlock Monsters forward came out. Oh my god, it'd be horrendous. It'd be terrible. And it's like these are all movies we all like now in retro, and like we like now, but when they're brand new, it's like it's just.
Did George
It's long.
R.R. Martin write Godzilla versus King Ghidorah?
Listen, it's fine to be critical, but focus on the positives. Don't focus on the negatives out there, people. It's not good for you.
Unless it's typo negative.
Now, with that, I'm going to go home and watch Planet Eater now.